Hello everyone, this is Darcinovia here. Wow, I've been talking about this series for over a month now, and now it's finally over. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is my review on the final book of the Jedi Quest series, The Final Showdown. In this book, Obi-Wan, Anakin, along with his best friend, and Fitter's Order and everyone else, go on a mission to Korriban to finally capture Zemel Obor or Goteta Omega. I consider this essentially the end of pretty much Obi-Wan's character development pre-Episode 2. Obi-Wan, if you've read the Jedi Apprentice series, he starts off as a impatient kid that wants to get things done. Doesn't understand his master, what he's talking about. He thinks it's nonsense. And towards the end of this, Obi-Wan is becoming more like the Obi-Wan that we all know and love in Episode 4. Even though Episode 2 Obi-Wan, is not Allen Guinness Obi-Wan Kenobi, he is much closer to being there compared to who he was in The Rising Force. Why am I bringing up Jedi Apprentice? Because I consider Jedi Quest a sequel. And I think it's essential to actually read Jedi Apprentice to actually truly appreciate Jedi Quest. As far as I'm concerned, it's more of Obi-Wan's story than Anakin Skywalker's. Even though Anakin's technically the main character, I consider Obi-Wan more of the protagonist of this series. At least in my opinion. This book, what happens here is Anakin has a falling out with his best friend, Tolu. I cannot pronounce his name. I'm butchering it completely, but he's some character. He's a minor character that barely appears in the expanded universe. Tolu. It's some weird name. Over what happened with the lightsaber. Now, what do I think of the ending? Because the reason why I'm bringing it up is because this is one of the few occasions where, for a children's novel, this book ends on a bittersweet note, honestly. And I do enjoy that. I do enjoy, Anakin's character development too, in this series, because the Anakin that we see, in Episode 2, because a lot of us probably had questions back then. How did he get there from Episode 1 Anakin to Episode 2 Anakin? Well, the Jedi Quest series, along with the Jedi Apprentice Special Editions, does answer that question. This novel essentially kind of sets things up for Episode 2 in a way. I feel like you could, if after you read this, you could read the Episode 2 novelization or watch the movie, and I think you'd have a different view on Anakin and Obi-Wan, as characters. Of course, Goteta Omega I thought was a pretty good villain. He was a major threat throughout this entire series. And I don't think he's as interesting as Xanatos, even though Xanatos has even less appearances than he does. But I felt like he was a pretty cool character. The plot for this book, I don't think is as good as some of the others, but I do feel like it ends the series on a good note. Now, what do I think of this series? How does it compare to Jedi Apprentice? To be honest, I don't think it's as good as Jedi Apprentice. I think Jedi Apprentice was a great series. Sure, it started off with a different author in the first novel, David Woolton, but the following books after it, and up until this one, of course, Jade Watson writes up until the last book of the Last of the Jedi series. She wrote a lot of books for Star Wars, a lot. She wrote over like 30 books. And the reason I prefer Jedi Apprentice over Jedi Quest is I just like the relationship between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. We don't really get to see that in the Phantom Menace. And exploring a younger Obi-Wan was I felt like was more interesting than exploring a young a younger Obi-Wan and a young Anakin. That's just me. I felt it was more interesting exploring Obi-Wan at a younger age than Anakin, because we pretty much know for the most part how Anakin is. Obi-Wan. We have no idea what he was like, when he was about Anakin's age or close to his age, and that's why Jedi Apprentice was so interesting, because it's a contrast to what Obi-Wan ultimately ends up becoming. We all know Anakin's going to fall to the dark side. And the Jedi Quest novels, I feel like, just reinforces that fact. In fact, I argue that the Jedi Quest novels, has stronger evidence of Anakin already being on the path of the dark side. I mean, throughout this series, Anakin has been arrogant. Anakin can't let things go. And he has a hard time opening up to Obi-Wan. I felt like Anakin's path to the dark side was already set for him. And I feel like if you want to read how Anakin falls to the dark side, I think this series explains that well. Honestly, I think it heavily foreshadows Anakin's fall, especially the ending of at least one of the final paragraphs of this book. Let's see. I don't like reading out loud, but I'm going to try. He was all right. Anakin suddenly realized the weakness in his knees he'd felt when he saw Toru walk away was gone. In a strange way, the mission had strengthened him. He had a stronger conviction, now a harder edge to fight with. Everything had fallen away from him. His childhood, his friends, his wish to impress the Jedi Council. He would never be hopeless again. He would only grow stronger. He had fought with a Sith and has seen true power. One day, he would be able to match it and would be able to fight it. Not today, but someday soon. As a boy, he hadn't wanted things to change. He wanted to keep things he loved close to him forever, yet everything did change. He was far from his mother. He had lost Dorana, Toru, and Qui-Gon. He couldn't fight against those kind of losses. So be it. He would have to push them down until they didn't matter anymore. One day he would face his worst loss, the loss of his master. By surpassing him, he would lose him. He pictured Obi-Wan turning to him in slow surprise, gasp, being for the first time to the true extent of his powers, seeing that the student had outstripped the teacher. On that day, Anakin's heart would break for the last time. He would feel the weight of impossible sorrow. He would not be able to bear that sorrow unless he no longer had a heart. That's pretty chilling, in my opinion. I think that last paragraph of that book is just so chilling. I feel like it foreshadows what's going to happen in episode 3. Wow. I think that... I don't know what to say. I think Jade Watson did an amazing job with Obi-Wan's character and his development throughout both of these series, and Anakin, his development as well. Anakin's still one of my favorite characters despite his flaws, but this series does showcase just how he's already on the path to the dark side. And he can't let things go. I think the Jedi Quest series does an amazing job of that. In the future, I will review Jade Watson's follow-up series, The Last of the Jedi, which focuses on Fetus Orden, but that will be after I've gone through the Clone Wars. The Dark Times is an era that has a lot of content in it, and the Clone Wars era, I'll be there for a while. So everyone, this is Darcinovia over and out. I'm very close to the Clone Wars era now. Next time you see a review from me, it's probably going to be something related to one of the comics or the approaching storm. Anyway, either way, once I review the episode 2 novelization, I'm pretty much gonna primarily stick to the Clone Wars and nothing else. Have a great day, guys, and may the Force be with you always. And I give this series' final verdict a classic rating. May the Force be with you, and see you guys next time with another review. Later.